My gosh.
Oh, hamstring. Up. Sniper, take the other picture.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you can formulate opinions without having true facts.
I'm telling you, think about it logically for just a second.
Dear Reds fans, welcome back to the Zebra Zillionaires. It was a tough one yesterday.
Live from Chatterbox Sports Studios, it's Off the Bench with Thom Brennaman.
Well, a pleasant, good Thursday morning to you. This is Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers, and I am Trace Fowler, 2 sacred days away from Tom being back in the seat. Well, it was day 2 of the MLB Playoffs, and for many, that was the end of the road. Congratulations on winning 99 games. Season's over. Congratulations on winning 92 games. Season's over. A total of 39,000 people over the course of 2 games watched the Tampa Bay Rays. They lost to the Texas Rangers, and the Rangers dominated them, if we're being completely honest, 7-1. Not much of a fight out of the Rays. Josh Jung had 2 doubles and a triple. Adolis Garcia hit a home run. The Rangers would take on the Orioles now in the division series. So it doesn't get any easier for the Rangers as they face what many might say the best team in baseball. And if they don't think that, then they obviously believe that the Braves are. The Twins, they snapped that 18-game losing streak in the playoffs, only to turn around to win 2 straight. They would win their series over the Blue Jays 2-0. That's big-time pitching right there. Imagine telling yourself that you were going to go out there and score 2 runs and you were going to find a way to win a playoff series. Former and future Red Sonny Gray. I seen it all over X.com yesterday. Let me tell you. X.com was flying high yesterday about the Cincinnati Reds. Oh, why? Because they used to have Sonny Gray. And sure enough, anytime a previous Red has any success, next thing you know, you're never supposed to get rid of him. Right? I'm going to go off the rails here for just a half a second on the monologue. I'm going to precursor that so Elliot doesn't start freaking out. Listen, Eugenio Suarez had a good start in Seattle. Great. Well, that's good. Good for Eugenio. But he couldn't hit water if he fell off a boat in Cincinnati for a full year. So you're supposed to just keep him around? At some point, you're just happy for the guys that left. You just appreciate the fact that they're having success somewhere else. You don't always have to feel like you lost out on something. Because the truth is, you don't know if you did. Would we like to think that Sonny Gray was going to be the same pitcher in Cincinnati as he would in Minnesota? I don't know. The ballpark's different, isn't it? I'm sure Hunter Green's numbers would look a lot different if he pitched in San Francisco than he does in Great American Ballpark. No, I'm not taking anything away from Sonny Gray. He was great. He was dominant. But we also got guys in return for him, just as a reminder. But they didn't allow a run. The Astros await the Twins. Old Dusty Baker and the gang. That's the next guy I hear about. Oh, we should have never got rid of Dusty Baker. It is kind of unique and funny, though, that you look throughout the postseason and there's a lot of Reds out there. I wonder if other franchises feel the same.
Did you finish it?
Yeah.
I don't think you did.
Yeah, I did.
I don't think you did.
All right, a brutal scene, not only in this office.
You did.
A brutal scene, not only in this office, but also in Milwaukee last night. Brewers, I mean, could you imagine? Can you imagine being a Brewers fan? I mean, you've, for a couple years now, had a really good baseball team. A really good baseball team. And you just, for all intents and purposes, you've laid an egg. You've laid an egg. Spur called it in here yesterday. You can't go out there with your ace and a number 4 starter and lose and then expect to turn around and win the next day. The Brewers, though, they did take an early lead. Yet again, they blew it. Diamondbacks, they took both games at American Family Field. Zach Gallen recovered nicely after giving up 2 runs in the first inning. He went 6 innings, striking out 4. The Diamondbacks would win 4-2. They now play the Dodgers next. You know the crazy thing about Milwaukee too is that every time they've not had success in the postseason, it feels as if the reason they didn't have the success was somewhat in part because of the strength that happened all year long didn't show up. Now, is that being a little unfair? Yes. But for a team that would be able to rely on their bullpen to close it down at the end of games, they weren't able to do that. They expected Corbin Burns to probably go out there and shove, and that just didn't happen. But that's here nor there. That's Milwaukee's problem, not ours, isn't it? Phillies, they destroyed the Marlins. They destroyed them so bad there was people on X.com talking about how they wish that any other team besides the Marlins got in the postseason because they're terrible. That's how you know there's a lot of people that watch these postseason games that really haven't watched the league a whole lot. The Marlins, hey, they outplayed everybody at the end of the year. They won big series after big series. It just so happens that when you play a 2-game or a 3-game set in Philadelphia against the defending National League champions, sometimes it's tough. It's tough to win. Marlins found that out. Bryson Scott would bust the game open, though. If you didn't see it, he hit a grand slam, and there is some pretty cool little videos on X.com of just the crowd's reaction, and they went bonkers. Crazy, I might add. Philadelphia is starting to get a reputation for maybe one of the best sports cities there is. And it very well may be. Something about blue-collar eastern towns that just care about their sports maybe more than they should. If you didn't get a chance to see it, this is Scott's grand slam right here.
Bryson Stott.
Stott would give Nola all the run support he would need and then some. They would go on to win 7-1, and they will face what many might also believe is the best team in baseball in the Atlanta Braves, their division rival, next in the NLDS. In other news in Cincinnati, FC Cincinnati, they lost yesterday, but they had the Trojan celebration anyway. They had the supporter shield out there. All their fans getting fired up about it. But congratulations to FC Cincinnati. Maybe we don't give them enough credit around here, but they did win the MLS trophy for the best record. 50 consecutive days we're about to embark on with a football game that started yesterday. Now, you can thank some of these smaller schools that have decided to bow down to the man that is the hand that feeds them money, because they're willing to play on wherever ESPN and or whatever other cable program begs them to play on. Because why? Well, they need that cash. It'll be interesting to see if Tom wants to keep you updated on all these different games. But for today, we'll let you know that Jacksonville State, they decided they were going to beat Middle Tennessee State 45-30. Florida International, they lost on the road to New Mexico State 34-17. And on today's show, we will finally get to Casey's stink list. We'll have Draft or Die. Locals at 11, of course. And more. We'll go around the room, get the thoughts on maybe a little quick MLB postseason. Maybe we all make a prediction on who we think is going to win the World Series now that we got these wild cards out of the way. I'm a little disappointed, though, for being honest about the fact that we don't even get a Game 3 winner-take-all game. What a wild thing that is in Major League Baseball in the postseason. You get a chance to play 3 home games, and for two of the, maybe you would argue, the better teams that were playing in a 3-game set, 2 of them were bounced in 2 games. I think we talked about this briefly yesterday. I think I'm at the point now where I don't know what Major League Baseball can do to win. You're going to have people that complain that they play 162 games and they throw them out there for a 3-game set. It's a 3-game set at home. It's a 3-game set at home. If you can't find a way to win on day 1 and or day 2, then it begs the question, did you deserve to move on in the first place? Because if it's a 5-game set, you're basically asking someone to come back and win 3 straight games to be able to win a series. Now, has it been done before? Of course it has been. Of course it has been. In fact, if you remember that 2004 World Series champion, the Boston Red Sox, they came back down 2-0 to the Oakland A's in round 1 before they moved on, and then obviously they got down 3-0 to the Yankees. They would go on to defeat, I believe, if I remember right, I believe that was the Cardinals, right? It was the Cardinals who lost the World Series to the Red Sox.
Yes.
I think I remember that right. Also, don't let me forget, but I think I have the solution for the Cincinnati Bengals. And it includes Joe Burrow playing this week and next.
Can't wait to hear that bit. Yesterday was good. Yesterday was great. I was able to watch some of the playoff games. Philadelphia, man, Philadelphia gets a lot of slack for just being their fans being, kind of gross and misbehaving all the time. But it's a damn good sports town. I mean, you could argue it's the best sports town. What I saw last night in that video, you heard it, they were singing along to the walk-up song, and they just go nuts after every single pitch. They really do. I love Philadelphia. Casey, I sent Casey another clip. This was their owner last night. Their owner, I forget his name at the top of my head, but Casey has it. He went out into the crowd and just started firing T-shirts at people. In the middle of the chaos, he went down on the field. It would be so cool to have an owner who did this. There he goes, into the crowd, over the guardrails.
It's a heavy bag.
Yeah, he's making it look heavy at least. Somebody help him out, man. Damn.
John Middleton, the owner of the Phillies, just having fun with the fans. Do you know how cool it would be to have an owner like that? Unfortunately, they don't. The Reds do not. But that it would be so cool if one of our owners just didn't openly disrespect our city all the time with his words. But that would be cool. The playoff baseball atmosphere is great. Everett's been saying it in the chat. I do think playoff baseball should be moved up a month earlier. Get rid of that first month of the season. It's nonsense. Nobody needs to be playing baseball in April. But this is awesome. This is the best time of the year. NFL is right in the thick of it. MLB playoffs. You got NHL, NBA, college basketball is all coming back. This is the best time of the year to be a sports fan. This is phenomenal. I know Trace glossed over those 2 college football programs, but it's fun. I don't care. Obviously, all those teams that played yesterday, their seasons don't matter. It's college football. Congratulations to Georgia for winning it all. But it is fun just to turn on your TV and there's football on, and by football I mean American football.
Nice, I like that. Do you really? I mean, does anyone really care about those games? Honestly,
No.
Nobody does. I mean, besides the 2 fan bases and the folks that are degenerates that are probably putting way too much money on those games. Outside of those, besides the parents and the alumni of those schools and the degenerates, I don't really see a whole lot. I mean, did you watch those games last night? Are you suggesting that, Elliot?
Well, no. Well,
oh, you didn't watch them, but you're making fun of me for making fun of it.
Can I finish my speech? I was at a bar. It's Wednesdays. We play trivia. Me and my friend group, we play trivia. And in our bar, Champions Bar, shout out, no free ads. They have all the games up for the night. They have a great TV setup, and on 2 of the TVs, yeah, there were those games. Was I paying attention to them? Not really, but it was cool to just look over once in a while. I was taking a sip of my lemonade or whatever I was drinking, and I take a look. Oh, there's football on. Am I going to watch it? No, but it's fun to see. I was watching the MLB postseason, obviously, as my front runner. FC Cincinnati was even on in the bar. I'm pretty sure FC Cincinnati really didn't play any of their starters. I think Acosta got in at the end a little bit, but I don't.
Elliot's talking a little FC.
Yeah, a little bit of FC. I'll talk a little bit about him. I was looking at the stats for Acosta. Dude's actually been pretty good. He's like 5'3". Dude, this guy's like 5'3", and it was really funny. I don't know if we have that picture, but him with the supporter shield. The supporter shield's literally 3/4 of his entire body. I think he's the goal leader in the MLS. He's third in assists. He's like third in meaningful passes. Apparently that's a stat in soccer. It's not an assist, but it's a meaningful pass. You can somehow calculate that. But it was good. Yeah, listen. Despite what I say about FC, I'll make a lot of jokes in here, but I respect them. They bring a trophy, they win. So if they're going to bring trophies and they're going to win, it's better than half the teams. They're better than 3/4 of the team in the city. So, and here's the picture. Casey has it for you.
Yeah, it's actually a video of him. I mean, it's literally a quarter of his body.
He's just such a tiny little guy. He's just such a
But
tiny
he's so
little
good.
guy.
And he should be an MVP. Yeah. He should be.
Some are saying. I know one thing. I can tell you this right now with a shadow of without a shadow of doubt. I think that's the term you use here. Is that Spur? Did you watch the FC Cincinnati last night? Answer. No.
I did not.
You missed it?
I missed it.
Damn. Is that because you have to go through?
I actually didn't watch any postseason baseball last night either. I didn't get a chance to watch. That's tough for the MLB that all 4 series are over after 2 games, and we don't get no game 3s, as you said. That's a loss for Major League Baseball. But hopefully these divisional series, the Phillies-Braves series, I got a feeling if there's a team that can knock off the Braves, it's the Phillies. They got the offense to do it. They're going to be able to hit with them. I think that's going to be a fun, exciting series. I bet that goes 5.
5. He's calling 5. Casey, what'd you watch last night, if anything?
I
know you had your show.
Yeah, I did my show, and then I got to catch the ceremony for the supporter shield. So That's what I spent my.
Casey sent a picture of his setup at home, and I did find it funny. His TV did look massive.
It did.
And Trey said it in our group chat. It looked like a 90-inch television. It looked like the biggest TV I've ever seen.
I just don't know how you guys.
I don't know where you're getting that money from.
Well,
I don't know if
it's. Casey?
It's only like 60 inches.
I think it's bigger than that. It's bigger than that.
It's not.
We'll have to do it. We'll have to measure it because I think you're lying about the size of your television there.
He's definitely lying about the size of his television.
I'm not.
There's just no doubt about it. That thing looked like it was taking up the whole entire wall. I mean, and then all of a sudden he's making fun of me for thinking that it's big, and then obviously Elliot was on the same track.
It was at least 72. You can't tell me it's less than 72 inches.
No, it's 60.
No,
It's 60.
All right.
You know what? That's the first sign of getting older, I guess is the term I'd like to use. I know many of our chat are laughing at me because I'm saying I'm getting older and all that. I get all that. We can all just slide right past that. But we're at a point now where in today's civilization that 60 inches is not a sizable television. I guess we're just going to move right past it. Is 60 inches not? I guess that's just not a big television.
Well, it's a new 45.
Long gone are the days of the 32-inch. I guess those are. You used to be like, oh, that's a 32-inch. That's pretty nice. And then you used to have like basically 2 men in a truck and then a couple other buddies come over to help carry in the big screen televisions that the really wealthy folks had. The ones that took up half the living room because they were, I don't know, wider than that. And now we're at a point where Casey's got something that looks like it's taking up the whole entire wall, and it's just not that big. So, Elliot, what were you gonna say?
I grew up with a box TV. It had the little box, and it wasn't big. It was, I mean, if it was 24 inches, I'd be shocked.
I bet it was heavy though.
It was very heavy. It was very heavy. I can't imagine the TVs Trace and Sean grew up with. Probably black and white and probably audio only,
man.
Audio only. But it was the times have changed. The times have changed. I've got a great TV in my room. My parents, they have a great TV hanging from the wall downstairs. It's just fun. It's fun to have TVs. I think whoever created the TV, I don't have that information in front of me, but whoever created it, you did a very good job. You did a very good job.
Fair enough. There's some people in the chat that are not fans of your hat, so we're gonna have to get to the bottom of it. Maybe we'll find a way to get. You know what, Elliot? He just sees yours. It's Elliot. It seems like he's gotten picked on too many days in a row.
Wait. Why do they not like my hat?
First, it was his vehicle the other day. I wasn't even making fun of his vehicle, but they obviously took it that way.
That's his work hat.
And then now, you got your best friend Evan in the chat telling you that your hat.
Well, Evan's a clown. I'm not listening to Evan. Is that the person who came after my Bengals hat, Evan?
Yeah.
Evan. What do you want me to say, man? The Bengals.
It's a work hat. Come on, man.
It's a Bengals hat. I'm trying to support the team that's dead. I'm trying to revive them by wearing this Bengals hat. I don't need to hear Evan's complaints. Evan was on the trade Jonathan India bandwagon 2 seasons ago when he won Rookie of the Year. Right as soon as he won it, trade Jonathan India, ship him out. Jonathan India cries his heart out at the final post-game presser of the year. Evan just laughs at him. Evan laughs at our players when they get traded or leave. And by the way, I disagree with you on that. Sonny Gray was a damn good Red. He could have stayed a Red. I would argue that the production of Sonny Gray that we could have had for several years would be better than that of whoever came up. I forget the name of the trade.
Well, exactly. You don't know who you got from him. There's your
well,
first,
correct, because you have a relevant.
That's your first problem.
I have
Second
the name.
problem
It's
is
just,
that I want to hear what your take is. The same guy that was picketing outside of Great American Ballpark when they got Christian Encarnacion Strand, Spencer Steer, and Will Benson basically effectively.
Chase Petty, I'm sorry.
And
everybody wanted to trade Chase Petty anyway.
Chase Petty, I don't know. Maybe he could be arguably the best arm in our entire system. Just saying. I mean, the guy had like a 2-point-something ERA this year.
Do you think if Sonny Gray was a Red this year, it would have made a difference at some point?
Possibly, yeah. We might have won a few more games, but that's the thing. That's the crux of the argument that I made yesterday. I don't think that it's reasonable to say one way or the other is the perfect way of doing it. I'm not in the – see, I do try to find myself in the middle of the prospect hugger, you don't trade everybody, extend everyone camp. I try to find myself in the middle because if you're in a position like the Reds were this year, you can make a clear case argument that they were not true World Series contending type team. They just weren't. Like it or not, no matter what they did this year, you could bring back Sonny. Hell, you could bring back Sonny and Luis Castillo. And I know people are going to argue tooth and nail about that. But my point is, you could add Sonny and Luis Castillo on this team, and I still would argue that they weren't deep enough or they weren't consistent enough at the plate to be able to warrant winning a World Series. Now, can anybody win a World Series if you get in the postseason? Maybe. But there's obviously a reason as to why some teams are much favored over others. My main point to all of this is that whether we want to admit it or not, when you're a small franchise, there are what I'd like to call windows of opportunity. And I know that people don't want to talk about that. They want to say they want to be good every single year. But I'm okay with maybe trading some high-end prospects if in a year from now or 2 years from now or maybe 3 years from now, whatever that is, when this team is expected to win 95 games and they're going to be one of the 2 best records in the National League, and you can make the argument that they need something to kind of fill that hole. This year just wasn't it for me.
And that's fair, and I do think there's a valid point. Castellini said it before the year. He had no expectations to win this season, win any games. He expected to tank when he went on his brunch spiel about how no teams win after opening day ever. Whenever he went on that terrible rant, he didn't expect the Reds to win, so why would you pay a guy who's going to cement a losing roster? I get that part. But there is a part of it where it's like if you have Sonny Gray, and again, the prospect thing, I've already admitted I was wrong on it. The prospect thing worked. It objectively worked. Great for the Reds. It's the only reason we had a team this year is because the prospects that Nick Krall accrued over all these trades, they worked. They worked phenomenally. But I do think it does mean something instead of paying Luke Dreamweaver. I think you could have kept one veteran starter on the roster. I think that would have helped. instead of putting out a reliever in Luis Sessa starting games 10 times.
You're right. You are 100% right about that. In fact, I would say to this. I'll ask you the same question.
Yeah.
Do you think that, and this is for the room, I don't want to sit here and keep talking. I mean, we have 2 other people over here too. I'm not trying to just make this a 2-way conversation. If you told, and I'd love to have access to talk to Nick Krall. Would he answer my questions? Honestly, probably not. But I would like to ask him one simple question at the beginning. Listen, if you just said, forget what the narrative would be about you if you just told the truth on this question, what would you say? If you knew before the year started that it was going to go the way that it actually went, and you could have the perspective of the full season before you started, would you have really pushed a lot harder to try to fix the starting pitching problem at the beginning of the year? Or did you just genuinely think, you know what, we know what we have. We're going to win 70 games this year. Let's not go out and do something. Let's not go ask Mr. Bob for money when it really probably doesn't matter. Let's wait and save our chance to go ask Bob for something when it actually matters. Now, if he said, yeah, that's the truth, he'd get crushed because people are saying he gave up on the season. But I think that's what he did. Do you think that's what he did?
I think that's what he did.
Is it a fair thing to do that?
I don't know if it's a fair thing to do. I don't think it's, and this is such a good argument it's such a good debate because there is a valid point to being like, you know what, we know the Castellinis aren't going to spend that much money. We're gonna wait to use our Christmas button.
Our get out of free jail card.
Correct. We're gonna wait to use it until we can go all in or whatever you want to say, whatever verbiage you want to use for that. Next season, the season after that, et cetera, et cetera. But there is a point when you quit on seasons, and that's what the Reds have done several times over the past 6 years. When you quit and you forfeit seasons, it's tough. It's tough to keep a fan base. It's tough to have people believe in you, have people believe in your job. It's such a good question. If I were Nick Krall, I would have tried to get at least one veteran pitcher, maybe a couple veteran pitchers that weren't Luke Dreamweaver and Luis Sessa, who again, respectfully, is a relief pitcher that the Reds forced into starting because they didn't have any options and didn't want to spend money. So I do think you have to toe the line between forfeiting seasons and dealing with ownership, right? There has to be another answer.
Spur, really quickly, Spur, do you think that they punted?
Oh, they punted. I think coming into the season, they knew this was Joey Votto's last year, that they had to pay him because now they can part ways with him if they want to. They still had Mike Moustakas on the books. I think that was $13-14 million. That's almost $35 million right there that they're going to have next year that they didn't have this year. I don't think they expected the rookies to come up and make as big of an impact as they did that fast, especially a guy like Matt McClain. I mean, he was he didn't even really have that great of a year in the minor leagues last year, and he comes out this year and comes to the major leagues, hits 290, 16 home runs. I don't think they expected that. So I think they punted on the season. Would I like to see them get at least some kind of veteran arm?
Correct.
Yes. I mean, like you said, Luis Sessa probably shouldn't have been out there. But if they would have gotten somebody, I feel like it would have been like a Mike Minor type. I mean,
but here and people forget about that deal when the Reds released Wade Miley and then half-assed a trade for Mike Minor. I mean, it's the scene from Oakland where they're flashing the banner of David Justice. They just bring in some old veteran that nobody cares about, but they get to use his name as like, oh, Mike Minor was really good 10 years ago. And that's what the Reds did. They paid Mike Minor, by the way, $1 million more than what Wade Miley was making. They just released Wade Miley. So strange moves. The Reds have to get out of the point where they just forfeit seasons and at least show a serviceable product, even if you're not trying to win. The issue was that Phil Castellini straight out and said that they're not going to try to win. He came out and said that. So when you have an owner that says that, with the Phillies owner getting in the stands, crowd surfing and throwing T-shirts up there, getting over guardrails, we have our owner at brunch time at the Reds, whatever, kid's house, saying that, oh, yeah, it's okay that we're going to be bad this year because half the teams don't try. It's a bad attitude to have. It is
a bad attitude to have. I 100% agree with the fact that you shouldn't say that. Can I admit something with this whole thing? I always feel like I'm on the other side of trying to defend the Castellinis, and I think that the guys they got, Phil specifically, obviously Bob is a little older now to where, I don't really know the heart of Bob. But it definitely feels like Phil, and again, I don't know the guy, so maybe if I ever got a chance to meet him, I would feel differently. But just from the outside looking in, he comes off like a silver spoon type of person, He certainly seems like he's a little too big for his britches in a way. Like he comes off arrogant, right? Rightfully so. He said some things that are very arrogant. But there is some truth to what he's always said. And that's the real hard part with this, is that whether you want to listen to what he's trying to say and listen to the tone in which he's saying it and take that and run to the bank and say that, he's the worst owner in sports, you could do that. I try to listen to what he's saying, and he doesn't say it eloquently by any means, but he has a point about the fact that Major League Baseball allows teams to sell patches on their uniforms, and he gets upset about that. Why? Well, because the New York Yankees, they sell their patch on the front of their uniform for $17 million a year, and the Reds, they can only get $5 million based off of just sheer market size. That matters. That matters. Like, that's a competitive advantage that we all know exists in all the bigger markets. And he has a good point about the competitive disadvantages that all of these markets have that he exists in, the small markets. Can you win in a small market? Yes, you can. The Rays have proven that you can do it. Is it an outlier to win in a small market? Yes, it is. Can you be upset about the landscape of Major League Baseball and you have an owner that, and I say owner, I should say commissioner, you have a commissioner that seems to not really care about the competitive disadvantages? I understand where Castellini, and I say Phil specifically, comes from. And I know it sounds like I'm defending this guy, but genuinely, and I've said this before, genuinely, at least we can all see that he wants to win, though. Like that is actually, if you want me to try to make you feel a little, and I'll pitch it right now to you. Nobody gets that upset and nobody gets that fired up on the radio and says the things that they say if you can at least admit they don't care about the product they're putting out. Now you could argue that they've spent money on the wrong things, and they have. They've swung and missed on a couple contracts, but they've spent money. They have spent money. The Moustakas deal, right? That is spending money. Bad deal. Horrible deal. I'm sure he could have got a boat anchor for a lot less money than he spent on Moustakas. But that's not what happened. The other side, and yes, I get it, and I'm not trying to kill Homer Bailey, but they swung and missed on the Homer Bailey deal. They have swung and missed on when they've spent their money, which is the real crux of the problem when it comes to winning baseball in this town. However, the things that Phil complains about, like it or not, are true. It's just you would like your owner not to use that as the excuse. Just because they're true doesn't mean you should use it as an excuse either, right? Like there should be, and that's where your point and everyone else's point that doesn't like Phil, when I say don't even like him, can't stand the comments he made, are accurate and true. You can't have an owner who's competing to try to compete with all the other franchises out here openly complaining and saying, woe is me, about the landscape that is Major League Baseball. It is what it is. You got to fight through it. You got to figure out a way. You don't need to go to and you know what? That's the part of where there's just and I hate to say this, but genuinely there's just a leadership difference in somebody that has built something from the ground up on their own and somebody that has been handed something in their life. Phil could be very, very intelligent, unbelievably smart, but he doesn't have the same grit as a guy that's built something from the ground up on his own. Steve Jobs and Phil will never have the same mindset and the same thought process, ever, because they don't have the same life experiences. So, am I making excuses for Phil and what he said? A little bit. But what he said is somewhat true. The problem is he doesn't have the mindset right now, and maybe he does behind closed doors, but at least to the public, his mindset is woe is me, and let me complain about the landscape versus I don't really give a damn what the landscape is. I'm going to figure out a way to win. But the narrative they don't spend money, I don't think is true. And the narrative that this ownership group doesn't care, I don't think is true.
I think when you have 6 winning seasons since 2004 or 2006, whenever they showed up, they have 6 winning seasons. Again, does it take luck to get into the playoffs sometimes? Sure. But I would say luck has nothing to do with the fact that the Reds have been one of the worst franchises since 2000. And that's objective. That's not hyperbole. That's not my opinion. It's factual. They have been one of the worst franchises since the Castellinis have taken over. They've had 6 winning seasons, and half of them are 2 games above 500, missing the playoffs. So I do have an issue with the Castellinis. Again, do I think deep down they care about the Reds and the city? Sure. I think they wouldn't still be doing what they do if they didn't care a little bit. But at the end of the day, I think it would be fun to have an owner that and again, small market, all the small market stuff Trace said is true. It's hard to be a small market team, but you see what's happening with Tampa Bay, and they have literally no fans. No fans show up. I mean, that owner's still spending money and nobody cares. If our owners cared a little bit, I think you would see that with fan attendance, and maybe we wouldn't. Maybe Thom was right all along. Maybe Cincinnati's not a baseball town. With a night game having 7,000 people there in the middle of a playoff race, and that does suck. It's probably hard as an owner to be like, why am I spending money on a team if 7,000 people are showing up because gas prices are high, but on Monday night Bengals will draw 75,000 or 64,000.
Tampa doesn't spend money though. To be fair, to be clear, right? They're not spending money. They're just winning wisely. They're spending money in the right places, and then on top of that, they go out and they just find prospect after prospect after prospect, and it's just like it's very much like for lack of a better term, they aren't going to have superstar players that are going to stay there. They're going to get rid of those.
Yeah, they're
guys.
going to lose them.
Isn't he building a new stadium though?
Well, I mean, I don't know what the crux of that argument would be, because ultimately, really, what does that have to do with spending money on the players? Like, that might be a Tampa thing. I don't know what the
Yeah, I don't know either.
I don't know what the financials look like that. I mean, at the end of it all, I guess my point was, like, from a Reds perspective, it's just unfortunate because when they've spent money, they've missed. That's what stinks. They've spent money and they've missed. I guess my other point would be this: if the Reds would have, and this is all hypothetical, this is outside the ownership group, right? Like, you could make the case. Depends on how you look at it. If you want to give the Castellinis credit for hiring Nick Krall, then you have to give them their discredit for hiring whoever the hell they hired when they went out and they decided to pay. They decided to pay Homer Bailey and they decided to pay Moustakas, and they did get Castellanos on a good deal as well. But Dick Williams is fine. And I'm not trying to just say it's all Dick Williams' fault or anything like that, but my main point to you would be, how much does this franchise change if they don't blow the 3-game set to the Giants, which is really not Castellini's fault in a way.
No, it's not. It was not his fault.
And secondarily to that, what happens if the ownership, and I say ownership, the front office decided they wanted to spend the money on Cueto instead of Homer Bailey?
And again, I don't think even that changes anything. Because the Reds don't win seasons. They have 6 winning seasons. So in almost 20 years of an ownership group, when you have significantly less than half of the years being losses, it's tough. It's tough, and I have a distrust in the Castellinis. But this year has been a big step. They're believing in their plan. You and Nick have been saying it all year long on Chatterbox Reds. They have a plan. They hired Nick Krall. The prospect thing's working out. It's working out phenomenally. So if they're able to keep with this, and when Nick Krall asks finally, hopefully this offseason, to be like, you know what, Bob and Phil, I want you to spend a little bit, help the team out, then I'll believe it. And the people complaining about the trade deadline, that was completely different. I don't know what people wanted at the deadline. If you want to say you wanted 2 veteran arms at that time for prospects, I disagree, because people are trying to outbuy or oversell you. They're trying to get more money. They're trying to get more prospects. They're trying to get more players. I would say trading at the deadline wouldn't have made a huge difference for this current team.
I mean, there's a perfect team to look at. Look at the Baltimore Orioles. They were in the same situation as the Reds last year. They actually sold at the deadline, even though they had a chance at a playoff spot. And now this season they got 101 wins because they stayed the course, kept the prospects, built the farm, and now it's paying off. That's what we're hoping for here in Cincinnati, and hopefully next year we'll start to reap the benefit of that.
Can I ask you though, what do you believe it's possible? Do you believe it's possible for the Reds to have that kind of success?
To win 100 games?
Yeah.
I do.
Okay.
If the pitching staff stays healthy, I do. That's going to be the big question going into next year. Obviously, this year, Graham Ashcraft got hurt. Nick Lodolo is out for the season. Hunter Green had injury problems this year. So we'll see. I do think they need to add an arm, though. You got to get some kind of veteran.
I would add 2 veteran arms,
Yeah.
and you need a couple relievers. We have 7 starters fighting for 5 spots as well, 7
but
rookie.
they're all young. So
Correct.
that's
So
why
I'd move a couple of them to the bullpen. I think Nick Lodolo should go to the bullpen. I don't know who else would go. Maybe Brandon Williamson also to the bullpen. But Brandon Williamson's been good. So I don't know what they're going to do next year. It's going to be fun. It's fun to be a Reds fan right now. It is. I just hope, and again, I'm a negative person. I'm a negative fan. I know this. To be fair to me, though, I would say there's been a lot of reasons, there's a lot of justification for my reasoning. I think you look at the Reds over the past 20 years, they've given me nothing.
That's fair. I think the over-under next year for the Cincinnati Reds is probably going to be around 83 wins, something like that.
Really?
Yeah, because I think here's the thing. These are the things that we don't want to talk about if we're a Reds fan, right? These are the situations where, if as a Reds fan, you don't want to have the concept or the idea that Matt McLain might not be a 3.2 WAR player, the same type of player that is basically Ronald Acuna Jr. type stuff, Mookie Betts type stuff. Like, that's how good he played this year. Is he going to regress a little bit? Probably. Will Ellie become a better player? You'd like to hope and believe that. Is Spencer Steer the kind of player that you got all year long this year? I don't know. These are things that we just don't know. Will Benson was excellent for a few months. Is he going to be the guy that shows up like he was in the back half of the year or the first few weeks of the season? These are all things that we really don't 100% know the answer to. We can be excited about it because if they all go in the direction of the Reds, they can win 100 games. They can. But I would also say the chances of winning 12 straight games again, like they did this year, is not really going to be all that high. So you're in a situation where, again, not to sit here and bow down to the analytics and say, hey, look at the run differential and look at the expected win-loss record of what the Reds were. I think it's reasonable to say as a Reds fan, we probably overachieved a little bit based off what we did. We won some
I don't
games.
know that. I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, the way the season started, who we had out there at the beginning of the year, say we have this roster up here the whole year, I bet we get 5 or 6 more wins. I mean, we were throwing you showed the Oakland roster on that Sunday. I mean, we had like 2 Major League Baseball players in the lineup. We pretty much just threw that game. And there were multiple we got swept against the Pirates in a 4-game series in April. When we're running Jason Vossler and Jose Barrero and Will Myers out there every day. So I don't know. I mean, they did go on a 12-game win streak, but I think they pick up more wins in April. I mean,
That's a good point. I mean, that's an excellent point. I just think that if I had to guess, I think it's going to be like 83, 84 wins is the over-under. And I hope that's not the case. Hell, if Vegas comes out with over-under on the Cincinnati Reds at like 88 wins or something crazy like that, 87 wins, then you know what obviously the desert believes in these prospects. We'll find out. I mean, we'll find out. We'll find out together. But certainly I get the sentiment that's been echoed inside the chat. It is very much this city's dying for what we've seen last night. Right? You see what happened in Philadelphia, and you're just like, can we get that just, I don't know, ever?
I thought Reed Mouse had an interesting chat earlier for all the Nick Castellanos stands. The Reds' 3 outfielders this year all had higher WARs than Nick Castellanos did this year.
That's fair. That's another point. I mean, that's another point I disagree with. Not that point. It's just statistically true. Nick Castellanos was great for the city. The fans loved him. They adored him. He was a very good player. The Reds openly didn't talk to his representation. They didn't talk to his agent. They didn't receive a phone call. If you don't want to sign Nick Castellanos, that's your prerogative. He's a lot of money. He cost a lot of money. I don't know what you're going to get in return from Nick Castellanos. You're going to get a solid player, but he's not. He's a poor defender. He's Jonathan India type level defender, but he produces at the plate. That's what you'd be getting. So is he worth $100+ million over the course of a couple years? Probably not. But to not have the phone call with him, I think that's terrible. And Nick Castellanos said in an interview, and really when all the tanking, that's fair, right? Tanking. When all the tanking started, when they shipped everybody out, you saw the quotes from like Kyle Farmer and Sonny Gray. Nobody wants to leave Cincinnati. Everybody wants to be here. Everybody that comes through Cincinnati wants to stay forever. The way the front office has worked, the way the market is for a small market team in Cincinnati, it doesn't work that way. But everybody who comes through here loves it. Nick Castellanos wanted to stay. This was Winker's home. This was Eugenio Suarez's home. Sonny Gray loved it. Kyle Farmer loved it. Everybody loved it. Wade Miley loved it. But it's just not how it works in a small market team, and I think that's a shame.
Should they have at least had a conversation with Castellanos? Yes.
But the conversation
At the end of it all, does it really matter? No.
Doesn't matter anymore. Nope.
Well, it doesn't matter, period. If you have a conversation with the guy, you said you're not going to be able to bring him back, then what's it really matter if you have a
we can't pay you
conversation
$100 million. I mean, that would have been the conversation. I mean, what did he end up getting from the Phillies? He got
It was $100+ million. I don't know what it
I mean,
was.
over how many years? Well, it was like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
So
5 years, $100 million. Is that right? 5 years, $100 million. So that's 20 a year.
20 a year, yeah.
Yeah, it's just not happening. That's not happening. And rightfully so. Would it have made a difference? I don't know. The answer is, listen, fans are fans. They're going to love certain players, and they're going to want to make sure that they stay as long as they can. We got people out here, and with all due respect, I don't mean to be rude about it. I hate doing this because it always means like you're tearing your own guys down. But we have to put in perspective, okay, how ridiculous a fan base can get when they fall in love with somebody. Their emotions take over, yes. And when it's not your money, then who cares? That's a great point that Reed's always said about the Chicago Cubs. You know, we always make fun of the fact that Jason Hayward got paid a boatload of money, and he was worth as much as Mike Moustakas was worth. Nothing. But if it's not your money, then you don't really care, do you? Who cares? I mean, whatever. It's not a big deal. They paid Talion or whatever $80 million. He's been terrible as well. Who cares? If you got the money, who cares? It doesn't really affect you all that much. The point of it is that I seen yesterday there was people out here suggesting they should bring Joey Votto back and trade Matt McClain. That was a real tweet I seen. That's what fans can do, right? You can get overly emotional about certain things, and it's hard to keep things in perspective of what you should and shouldn't do from a franchise. I'm going to shift gears here for just a second because I looked at the Bengals schedule yesterday, and Elliot thinks this is a bit. It's really not a bit. It's something I thought about, and I was like, you know what? This would take some outside-the-box thinking. This would take some guts. This would take somebody with a lot of fortitude to do. So it's probably not going to happen, to be honest. But as I looked through the Bengals schedule, I thought to myself, you know what? Burrow gives this team the best chance to win is what every single person in that coaching staff, or as I said before, the front office of Paycor Stadium has said. We're in a position now where the Bengals play 2 games that I would suggest are more winnable than the games following the bye, right? You have a game against the Cardinals. You have a game then following next week against the Seahawks. You have a bye. You come back. You play the San Francisco 49ers. And then you turn right around and you have to play the Buffalo Bills. Is it wild to suggest, and this is what I'm going to say and suggest, is if Joe Burrow's not 100%, whatever term that is, or is it close to 100% as he thinks he can ever get, is it wild to suggest that you're in a position where you have 2 games that many would say the Bengals are favored, right? He plays against Arizona. He then turns around and he plays against Seattle. Now hear me out. If the Bengals were to win those 2 games and Joe Burrow still did not look like himself, is it crazy to say that then at that point I would try to give him a 3 weeks rest? I'd give him the bye weeks rest. I'd let him sit against San Francisco to protect him against that defense, and then I would do the same thing against the Bills. I know what everyone's going to tell me. Trace, you're going to lose those games. You can't possibly win with Jake Browning as your quarterback against the 49ers and the Bills. That's fine. I'm suggesting you might not win them anyway. You probably, let me rephrase that. You probably aren't going to win them anyways. So let him come back after 3 weeks worth of rest with a 2 games below 500 record with every bit of a chance to win the division from there moving forward. You got the rest of your division games on the back end. Is that crazy to think? Now, I know there's always the hypotheticals everyone's going to tell me about. Well, you're not even for sure if he's going to be healthy after those 3 weeks. Can we at least admit? Do you have the gumption to admit that the chances of Joe re-aggravating or having some issues against the 49ers and the Bills are a little bit higher than the next 2 weeks? Maybe the Seahawks, you could convince me otherwise. They had 11 sacks, but again, I mean, sometimes you got to take that with a grain of salt in the NFL because remember the Titans? Everyone's probably this week talking about how good the Titans looked against the Bengals. But the week before that, they looked terrible against the Browns. Is that crazy? You think that's a bit? I'm being serious, Elliot.
No, it's not a bit. I mean, it's not a bit. If you're going to do it, I guess you could do it that way, and I wouldn't hate it. But, I mean, the Bills and the 49ers, at some point you have to try to win games. Bills and the 49ers, if you're going to openly tank those two games, you can somewhat talk me into it. But I would say, are both those games prime time or just the Bills? Bills is just the only prime time, Casey?
So San Francisco is a 4:30 game on Sunday.
Okay.
Bills is the Sunday night game.
And the Bills game would be at home, which would suck. If they were both on the road, I would buy into it, honestly. Because I think if they're both on the road, they're both away. But when you're trying to show out in front of your home fans, it's tough to be like, here's Jake Browning.
A.J. McCarron might be ready by that point.
If A.J. McCarron's ready, then you can talk me into A.J. McCarron.
I would argue A.J. McCarron would be ready by that point, right? I mean, he has to be. I mean, that would be.
That's over a month away.
That's a month away.
If A.J. McCarron is ready and he knows the offense, you can talk me into A.J. McCarron. And I think your plan would I don't know if it would work, but it would certainly be a plan. Yeah. Joe Burrow, they said he's not even on the injury report anymore, right? He's just
Yeah.
Reports were he was moving around good at practice yesterday.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't believe that at all. But
That was the report.
I do. I've seen it, but it's not really for me, I think it's more of his mental game at this point. All honesty. I think it's a mental hurdle for Burrow. I mean, the dude is just not aware of the pocket collapsing. He's not making those small adjustments. I don't think it's anything physical with him at all anymore at this point. I've watched the film now for hours. I've watched Kasky. I've watched other people break it down. It's a team issue, man. It is 100%. Receivers just not getting open. The line just being terrible.
I mean, Burrow's been bad.
Burrow's been bad, but I don't think...
He's 1 for 22 on passes longer than 15
right,
yards.
but I'm just saying that part of it is mostly because, I would say, the line is not giving him any time. The receivers aren't getting open.
Whoa. Jamar Chase said.
He's always open? Well, he's got another thing coming, if you ask me. But I mean, it's not just him either, though, right? Like, I'm talking about Tyler Boyd. You can't drop a deep pass like that when you need something. Like, there's just a lot that happened that I think we need some perspective on. And yes, Burrow's played bad, but I wouldn't say the accuracy has been the issue. The issue has just been him being a mobile quarterback.
I mean, 1 for 22 for 15 yards. That's not being a mobile quarterback.
Have some perspective on it. I mean, like, if you've got a guy in your face 50, 60% of those times,
sure,
and then the other times that T. Higgins is dropping the ball, I mean, like, come on. Of course it's 1 for 22.
It's true. They all correlate a little bit, but 1 for 22 for 15 yards, that's not a random statistic. That's not you're not unlucky when you're 1 for 22 from 15 yards out. You're a bad quarterback. Drew Garrison has a chat. The videos of him moving well alone do nothing for me. We've seen those. Post a video with Trey Hendrickson's running at him. That's fair. I tend to agree. And I tend to agree with him. I'm going to be honest with you. Joe Burrow can say he's fine until the sun comes home. He said he was fine before the Titans game. He says he feels great right now. And until I see it, you can't believe him. Seeing is believing, despite what the movie Polar Express had to say.
I don't believe the coaches anymore. I actually think that they're putting on a face. I know that sounds crazy to say, and I do think that Zach Taylor and Callahan have decided that, you know what, we're going to go out there and we're going to play dumb and we're going to just act like everything's perfectly fine, and they're going to come up with, and maybe I'll be looking like an idiot here come Sunday, but I actually think they're going to come up with a different game plan. I really do. I think that's a facade. That's an easy thing to say. You can just say, oh, we got to execute better, got to do this, that, and the other. They know. They're too smart of football coaches. Like, they just can't possibly believe that they're going to continue to do the same thing over and over again and it's going to fix itself. There's no way.
You seem
I really don't believe that.
See,
I really think this week they're going to do some things differently.
you
they
seem
have
mo-
to.
you seem more confident in the Bengals than anybody in the city.
Because I actually listen. There's this part of me that believes that their division is winnable still, and if they find themselves on the winning end of the next 2 weeks, and I think they can, they're still right in it. They're still right in it because of I'm still banking on, to be fair, I'm banking on something that's not provable. I'm banking on the fact that Lamar Jackson's going to miss 4, 5, 6 weeks at some point in this season. If that happens, they have a chance. If it doesn't happen, then guess what? The Ravens are probably winning this division.
The Ravens are still beatable, though. Even if Lamar Jackson plays, I mean, they're a beatable team. The coach just did it. Like, I mean, the Ravens are even last year before Lamar got hurt, they started losing some games that they shouldn't have lost, or they were in tight games against bad teams.
Yep, you're right.
And they have a lot of injuries, too. Not just Lamar Jackson. I think they got a lot of injuries on their defense. They lost J.K. Dobbins for the year. They're a banged-up team, so they could easily falter system like the Cowboys. Look at the Cowboys. They should be 4-0. They're not. They're 3-1 because they lost to the Cardinals. So
and
it's the NFL.
I would say, I'm not trying to defend Joe Burrow. I think there is something wrong there still. Like I said, I think it's mental. I don't think it's a physical issue. But the rest of the team is also we can't just be like, well, when Joe Burrow gets healthy, this team is better. No, that's not the case. The whole team needs to get better. The whole team needs to get better.
That's fair.
It's really bad.
The defense has been atrocious. The defense has been one of the worst parts of the team this year. T. Higgins is now hurt, so you now lose a premier option for Joe Burrow to throw to, who quite frankly, he really hasn't used this season. He had the one game against Baltimore, and he dropped a lot of passes against the Rams. Other than that, it's been a no-show. If the Bengals want to do anything, you're going to have to beat Arizona, and
They're going to.
What are you willing to stake on that?
I'm willing to state right now, for all of you folks that are in the gutter, the Bengals are going to be 500 going into the bye. They're going to be 500. They're going to be 500 going into the bye. They're 1-3 right now. They'll be 3-3 going into the bye. They're not going to beat the 49ers under any circumstance right now, unless things change dramatically. They're just not. They're not going to beat the 49ers. And I would say it would be a tough drag them out, duke it out type game against the Bills. And that's where I just go back to this idea of you're going to gamble again. And this all comes down to how Joe looks. If Joe looks relatively pretty competent the next 2 weeks, then you know what? You ride it out. You play it out. You let it go. But if he looks as bad as he's looked, and you find a way to win a sloppy game like you did against the Rams in back-to-back weeks, that's where I'm just saying I don't think it's out of the question to say, you know what? We got to do something. This guy is not right. You got to give him some kind of rest. And maybe it's a mental rest. I don't know what it is. And you know what? The mental thing, the psychological part of all this is something that none of us can quantify. And it's the one thing that's outside of all of our control and being able to, quote-unquote, rest to fixed. If it is psychological, which, Casey, you might be very much right. Elliot brought it up the other day. Sometimes when you get hurt, it takes a little while to psychologically get over the fact that you can do the things that you used to do. But right now, that's not what it looks like. I don't want to say I would put my savings on it, but I really do believe right now I would be shocked if the Bengals are not 500 going into the bye. And all of the Bengal fans at that point are going to think it's right back to last year. And I'm saying then, not so fast though. I'm not believing that the Bengals are going to rattle off 10 straight like they did last year. I'm just saying that I don't think the season is dead as we sit here under any circumstance.
Let me ask you this. Both the teams coming up, Seahawks and Cardinals, they're both beatable. If they use the same method, they score 19 against the Cardinals. They score 17 against the Seahawks. They win the first one 19-10, win the next one 17-7. Offense still looks abysmal. Defense shows you a little bit. Are you confident then? Are you still confident at that point, 3-3 heading into the bye? Are you saying this team's all okay, we're going to be fine?
Yeah, because there's only one thing you have to fix at that point, right?
What?
That would be the offense.
That's a big.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, that's where we're at now. I guess I'll ask you the question. Would you rather have, and this is where this whole thing gets hilarious, and we can do sports talk all day on it. Genuinely, I think as a Bengal fan, I would rather see my defense get back on track. I would rather see The special teams look like they're competent, right? And I would like to see my football team be as well-rounded as possible without their quarterback playing well, than to have Joe Burrow go out and throw for 350 yards, and then all of a sudden the defense gets slashed and slashed and slashed again. Because then you got a real problem.
Yeah.
Then you got something that you can't fix in 1 week. Because Joe Burrow, at any moment, if he comes back the next week and is the Joe Burrow of old, then you're right back on track. If the defense isn't what you thought it was, or the defense isn't what it has been in the past, then you got a whole other ball of wax that you just can't fix. You can't fix that. That's my argument.
That's fair. That's fair.
I agree with you on that. I think I would be very nervous if these next 2 weeks, the Bengals defense, like if they give up more than 23 points to Arizona, I'm going to be nervous. They give up more than 28 to Seattle, I'm going to be a nervous wreck for the rest of the season. I mean, especially if it comes from the ground game, because we want to sit here and talk like, oh, Von Bell and Jesse Bates are the reason why this team is looking bad. No, it's the guys that have been here for a while that are struggling. The front seven looks awful right now. I mean, we're giving up 150 yards a game on the ground. That's not good. That's got to get fixed. I wonder if Arizona's got a pretty decent ground game. So I think this week is going to be a good test. Seattle also has a really good offense. If the defense doesn't look near what it was last year, I think I'm still hitting the panic button, even if Joe Burrow looks healthy, even if he's playing great.
Do you guys not feel as if, though, that this Bengals team as a whole might be just pressing? I mean, that's the other counter argument I would make about this as well. Is like, yes, things are going bad, but it kind of just feels like maybe there's I don't want to say trying too hard, but you're starting to press. The defense is starting to try to do things. They're starting to realize the defense is starting to feel like they have to do something that they haven't done in the past, which is basically try to force turnovers.
Well, they are
just
doing that, yeah.
Not let turnovers just come naturally based off of the way you've played in the past. You're trying to blitz more. You're basically trying to, in any which way you can, to spark the offense with a turnover. And then football just doesn't work like that, right? It's like the same way with every other sport, if you will. It kind of reminds me of a situation to where, again, when things are going bad at times, it affects the entire team, not just one side of the ball. And right now, the defense feels as if they give up 2 touchdowns in a game, the offense isn't coming to bail them out anymore. Whereas in the past, no matter what happened with the Bengals, you always felt like you had a puncher's chance, right? And maybe it was the game in the AFC Championship game against the Chiefs that sparked that for the entire rest of the next season, to where it's like, you know what? Let's just keep playing. Let's keep fighting. Let's not start pointing fingers. And I don't think they've pointed fingers quite yet, if we're being honest. But I just think, as down as this fan base is right now, and it's been bad, I'm not saying it hasn't, I think that it can get back on track. And they have the opponents, if you will. And I'm not saying the Cardinals are bad. I'm not saying the Seahawks are terrible. Of course I'm not. But again, these are 2 winnable games. They're 2 winnable games. Like it or not, they are. You're not playing, again, if you were playing the 49ers this week and then you had to turn around and play the Cowboys or the Eagles, or you know all the teams at the top of the league, the Bills, the Dolphins maybe, then I would be a little concerned as a Bengal fan, because then it starts a spiral. But these next 2 games, I think they're 3-3 going into the bye, and there's some confidence back in the building. And then at that point, you have to ask your question, is Joe Burrow back or not? And if he's not, maybe you don't punt on the Bills game at home for what you said. You don't want to have a home primetime game and have A.J. McCarron running out there. But I'm also not opposed to the idea of sitting Joe Burrow on the road against the 49ers under any circumstance.
That's fair. And if you have that mindset, I would even start it at the Seahawks, I'm going to be honest with you. I'd go Seahawks by 49ers back for Buffalo. Is Buffalo on a Monday night?
No, it's Sunday night.
It is Sunday night. Okay, well, it's still a longer stretch there. So, that would be my plan. If you're gonna do that, you have to be there for the home game, I guess. Well, is Seahawks home too?
Yeah, Seattle's at home.
Seattle's at home.
Okay, then never mind. So that strategy's done. So you're gonna have to bench him at some point if you're gonna bench him. If you're gonna bench him because he's not, if he's still bad against Arizona, you're gonna have to bench him. You have to. Zach Taylor can't scoff at these questions anymore. You have to. If he's 15 for 30, 145 yards in a pick, you gotta bench him. You gotta do something. So this is a test for Joe Burrow. This is a test for Zach Taylor. This week is a big game. This right now. Every game is. We did this joke for the Reds. Every series is the biggest series of the year. Right now, every game is the biggest game of the year. The Cardinals might as well be the Super Bowl because if you lose this, if Joe Burrow no-shows, if everybody no-shows, and you lose to Arizona, you can't come back from this. I don't think you can.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, Elliot. I think in the scenario, us going 3-3 into the bye and then losing the next 2 games being 3-5, that is totally manageable for us to just rattle off and sneak into the playoffs. I don't think we win the AFC North by any stretch of the imagination, but you just look at what that leads into. I mean, you get Houston, that's winnable. You play Baltimore. We play them pretty close just week 2. Pittsburgh has been playing awful. Jacksonville doesn't look anything like anyone predicted. Indianapolis, a little surprised, but that's still winnable too. Minnesota, terrible. Pittsburgh, terrible. Then you play Kansas City and Cleveland to round out the season.
And to Trace's point, I do think there is a chance to win this division still. I don't think the division's out of the question.
No, I don't think it is either.
I think the Browns are the Browns. As much as you want to say that and laugh, Deshaun Watson has not been what he was with the Texans.
Yeah,
Nick Chubb is gone. Jerome Ford has not looked like a good running back. The past 2 weeks, he has not. So, I think they're doing more of like a committee thing with Kareem Hunt and a couple other guys. It's just not working right now for Cleveland. Baltimore is banged up, and I do think Baltimore is a little bit fraudulent. I think Baltimore could be a Super Bowl champion this year, but I also think Baltimore can miss the playoffs, which is as crazy as that is. Baltimore is just a wild team to me, man. They lose to the Colts at home. The Colts didn't have a quarterback. It was an easy win. Lose it. And I know it's any given Sunday. But the NFC North is not some juggernaut. Reed said at the beginning of the year like all teams would be competing for the playoffs. No. I would say there's going to be 2 teams that make it from the NFC or AFC North, excuse me.
What will the record be of the AFC North champions?
That's a good question. I want to say honestly, it's 10 wins. I want to say it's 10-7.
I agree. I think about 10-7 and get it done.
I think 10-7. I think as of right now, I would predict the Baltimore Ravens to win the division at 10-7. Bengals finish with 9 wins. Browns 8-9, right? That would be right.
Yep.
And then the Steelers dead. Steelers would have their first losing season under Mike Tomlin this year.
Just to be the contrarian, I think 11-6 gets it done, but again, in the scenario that Trace laid out, I think 10-7 gets you in the playoffs, wild card. So,
I think 10 wins, I don't want to say has to get you in the playoffs, but I would be shocked if it didn't. I mean, that 10 wins has to get you in the playoffs, right, as a wild card. Otherwise, I mean, that would require there to be how many teams having 11 wins in order for you not to make it. 10 gets you in. 9's always the iffy. Depends on tiebreakers and things like that. But
that 7th team in the playoffs has made a huge difference on getting teams in. Like that one year that we were talking about with the Patriots one day here in the office when they went 11-5 when Brady didn't play. They didn't make the playoffs that year, which is crazy to think that an 11-5 football team didn't make the playoffs. But now that they've added that 7th team, a 9-8 record could potentially get it done. But it's probably going to come down to a tiebreaker or something at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have to look at the schedule too and think to yourself which teams will there be head-to-head matchups on the opportunity of tiebreakers for the AFC. All right, we got to the point of the show now where we do what we do. We do 11 locals at 11, and then after that we're going to do the stink list. I don't know what Casey has up his sleeve for the stink list. I'm sure it's going to be fantastic. Who knows who he has? I'm be willing to bet though that if I had to guess, he's probably going to have the Browns in nauseating. And they'll probably stay there unless they win the AFC North. All right. It's that time of the show. We're going to send it over to the weatherman, and hopefully this time he can grace you with something that's actually relatively informative.
Well, hey, no information here. This is a bum weather service program. I am your bum host, Elliot. Today, it's going to be rainy. It's going to be sunny. It could go either way. I've been hearing hurricane-like conditions are going to blow in here around 4 o'clock. Have your umbrella. But as of Thank you, Casey. Casey's got a phone. And again, every one of you can do this right now. Tonight, it's going to come 5 o'clock. You're going to get your popcorn out. You're going to sit on the couch with all your family members. You're going to say, let's watch the local news. Let's do it. What are we going to find out today? Who got murdered? Who got thieved upon? That's what you'll find out tonight in the local news. And then you also find out about the weather. But you can do the weather thing right now. It does say there's a chance of rain. I don't tend to believe this. So I'm actually, Casey, put up the graphic. Put up the graphic that we have. I think there's no rain. This is me gambling on this weather. I'm going to say sunshine. Sunshine today. I know what the other local news people are going to say weather or rain, bad weather, rain. I'm going to say there's going to be sunshine. One of us has to be right. That's the thing. Now you can bet on some of these other local meteorologists, but you listen to me. I have positive vibes. I know I'm a negative fan. I'm a positive fan when it comes to the weather because I love it. That's why I got into the meteorologist profession. That's why I'm a meteorologist, and that's why I went to school for it. It's going to be sunshine all day today. With a chance of heavy rain, with a chance of brutally heavy torrential downpours at 4 o'clock. But for the most part, sunny and 80. Chip, back to you.
You know, our weatherman always wants to disparage the local news, and I must admit that I think that it's a really good news service. You know why? Because they tell you how not to waste your money. Those are the things that they tell you how to do.
Yeah, well, why don't you give it right back to me?
All right.
Why don't you give it right back to me? They tell you not to waste your money, but they'll run a 15-minute Viagra ad. So we can talk about that all day long, but I have better things to do with my time. I'll go home, I'll take a nap, I'll maybe bathe in the bath, I'll have a shower. My father and my mother, they built a hot tub at our house. I know people make fun of me because I live at home still. Listen, the meteorology game, it takes time. It takes time to accrue money in the meteorology game. Right now, I'm at the beginning tier of meteorology. When I get to the top tier, when I predict 10 consecutive weather forecasts, which I believe I've done, if I'm going to be honest with you, I believe I've done that. But if I keep doing that, I'll make the big bucks, and I won't have to deal with that. So don't listen. They don't know how to run their money. They don't have to do any of that. You're going to hear 3 things in the local news tonight: murders, weather, commercials. That's it. That's all you'll hear, but you can tune in. Feel free. If you want to tune in tonight, feel free. But right now I'm going to tell you sunshine all day, except for the brief chance of torrential downpour, hurricane-like conditions at 4 o'clock.
Fair enough. All right.
Chip,
4 o'clock.
back to you.
4 o'clock. Make sure that you get your umbrella ready. All right, we have a couple advertisers that support this show, and by support it, I mean they lift us all up and they let us pay our bills, and we really want to support them by giving you the best ad reads that there are in the game. And as always, I'm going to shout out United Dairy Farmers. As you know, what a traditional cup. You see this cup, right? And it's hard to see because of the bright lights here. I'll put it down here because the studio lights kind of faded out, but. Does anybody make a better malt beverage and like milkshake than UDF? The answer is no. The answer is no. On these hot summer days, and by summer I mean fall now, what a better way than to go get you a milkshake. So, hey. I also want to tell you, if you ever go to United Dairy Farmers, you get something, take a little picture of the cup or something like that. Shoot us a message on the old X.com app or whatever social media service you like to use. And you know what? Who knows? Maybe we start giving out prizes for random sponsorship supporters. It seems like something we should do around here. There's a lot of things we should do around here. Hopefully when Tom comes back, we'll start to do them instead of talking about them. We'll find out. All right, Casey, let them know.
Hey, your local ad reader here at 11.
I don't like this bit at all.
I got to tell you about the Bengals report by Encore Technologies. Encore Technologies provides IT solutions for a data-centered world with a suite of services from mobile computing to desktop to data center, supporting both centralized and work-from-home computing modules to improve efficiency and
productivity.
Visit encore.tech to path to innovation begins.
Productivity.
Here. Good one. And here I got Pawnee water. Let me tell you, I really need some of this Pawnee water right now in my life. I'm just parched. Do you hear that?
Elliot needs
taste
some.
Of the best tasting water in the world. Pawnee water, made right here in Hamilton, Ohio. Uses natural limestone filtration, unlike the artificial processing that other brands use. You can visit Pawnee Water at PAHHNI water.com to see where you can buy this great tasting water. For me, it's the pH level. It's an 8. It's not a 7. It's not a 9. It's an 8. And that leads to superior hydration. Elliot, what do you like about this water?
It's a good question, Casey. For me, it's really about the smoothness. When I think about the water, it's so smooth, it's so fresh. It goes down the gullet nice and easy. It goes through the esophagus down to what I think is the large intestine, where the stomach will then secrete that and use it for energy. I saw Trace laughing and it broke my character there. I was going to go on another rant about science, but that's okay. It's a great tasting water. It's smooth. It goes down easy. It's my favorite thing to drink. In fact, tonight I might get all of the Pawnee water in this studio, which is a lot. There's a lot of it here. I might dump it in the bathtub and I might take a bath in it because it's that pure. It is that brilliant, and that's what I might do tonight. Pawnee water, perhaps the greatest water. No, not perhaps. Pawnee water is the greatest water known to man.
I'm glad that they could teach you all the scientific things and all the body parts and how they are effectively used by our brain at Elder, but you don't know what a Phillips screwdriver is.
Excuse me?
You heard what I said.
Casey asked me that question, and I knew what it was. I just didn't know where you guys store them. Right. So I had to go back there by the bathrooms and find one like on the ground by the spiders. Right. So excuse me if I didn't know where the Phillips head screwdrivers were.
Right off the top of my head, I can't remember exactly all the other things that crack me up about Elliot not knowing certain things in life, and that are just, hey, we'll continue to teach him. We'll bring him along. Those public school educated folks like ourselves in here. We'll have to keep teaching him things. So.
I guess.
All right, let's get to Casey's stink list, because I'm sure there's going to be something that I'm sure we don't agree with. Hopefully, there's not too many bits in this, because I think the best part of this is. It's just, it's actually what Casey believes. See, when we first started doing this, Casey believed all of these things. And believe it or not, many people thought that he was just trying to be funny, but he wasn't. He was just being himself. We'll see if he continues to do that and see how he can justify whatever list he comes up with. Run the clip, Casey.
Yeah, no audio for this just yet. I haven't come up with any soundtrack for it. I'm just doing some last second adjustment.
Let me start with it.
Good one. Good one. I like that one a lot.
Do you get it? Because it was a dumpster.
Yeah.
It was yeah.
Yeah, it's
nice.
smelly.
We get to see you while you do it. That's even better. Nice
yeah,
job, Casey.
Let's go, Casey.
Way to step it up.
Let's go, Casey.
Good job, Casey.
I love it. Well, let's just get this right off the bat here. Exquisite, man, the Cardinals, they might be the best damn team in the whole NFL right now. If the Bengals can beat them, they're all the way back, right? So, and then we got the 49ers and the Bills. They're just right behind the Cardinals. I think those two are Super Bowl contenders, but they got nothing against the Cardinals. Don't worry about the 49ers beating them 15-30 last week. That was just a mistake. That they were just off their game. The Eagles, they took a step back a little bit. They're just not exquisite anymore. They're just a little off their game. I think the coordinators, them leaving has a lot to do with that. Odorless, we got the Rams and Seahawks. I think those two teams, to me, they're neck and neck as teams are in terms of playoff potential teams. And then, just pretty much the whole rest of the league just stinks. You got the Ravens, the Birds. The Birds stink. Ravens just stink. And then the Chargers, they just can't ever win a meaningful game in their life. The Colts, they're still figuring out their quarterback situation, whether or not that's going to work out with Anthony Richardson. He keeps getting hurt, so you never know with them. C.J. Stroud and the Texans, though, I kind of like what they're doing, but they went from nauseating to stink. I mean, that's a pretty big jump in all honesty.
Just to be clear, Ravens stink. They're 3-1.
Yeah, they stink.
Okay.
Yeah, they just
all right.
they just really stink. And then let's get to the Dallas Cowboys. Until they get rid of Dak Prescott, they just stink. They stench. They got a nasty stench, and they just been stinky for a long time. So that's why they're in the stench, because they just marinate in the stink. And just to go even further on that, I was wrong about the Packers. I thought that they were a little bit better. They stink really bad. without an offensive
real
line.
quick, I just wanted to double check again, Casey. You said the Cowboys are in the stench.
Yeah.
They're 3-1 with a plus 83 point differential.
Correct.
Okay, I just wanted to
I mean, they lost to the Super Bowl contending Cardinals. So
That's right.
Maybe I'm being a little harsh.
That's
maybe I'm
right.
being a little harsh.
That's
But
good.
I just, when you got Dak Prescott and anytime he's in the red zone, he throws a pick or fumbles the ball. It's really tough. It's really tough, man. I can't move you out of the stench. And then we go to the nauseating category. Pretty much everyone in the AFC North is just pretty bad right now. I grouped them all together: Pittsburgh, Browns, Bengals. But Bengals right now, they're just in a really bad, tough spot. I'd hate for them to just get whooped by the Cardinals. That would be miserable. I think that they'll have a pretty good game plan going into this one, but I'm really nervous because Cardinals are a really good football team. And then, the Bears, I've said this time and time again, they're the worst team in the NFL, and I think that might be the worst team I've ever seen grace the NFL fields. Anyone got any thoughts on this?
I only got one problem with the list. I mean, how do you not slide the 49ers and Bills over a little bit and put the Seahawks up there so you got the Bengals' next 4 opponents up top?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
If the Bengals get through that stretch.
Well, no, but that would be
It's true. Yeah,
No,
they're
Sean,
really
Sean,
bad.
that would be Sean. You don't get it. That would be compromising the list.
Yeah, I mean, I would never risk the integrity of this list to get the Bengals back on track. I would never do such a thing. Never do such a thing.
But to be clear, Cardinals are the best team in the NFL.
Yes, to be very clear,
Okay.
they are 100% the best
All
team.
right,
in
I just
the
want to
NFL.
double check there.
Josh Dobbs is a fantastic quarterback.
I think that's a great list. Yeah, I think that's a great list.
Everett's saying this list is the new wheel of lunch.
Let's bring back the wheel of lunch today. We haven't done that in a year. Let's do that since Quitter Paul. I think Quitter Paul had the last wheel of lunch, so we'll bring that back today too at some point at the end.
Sure.
Because we haven't done the wheel of lunch with Trace and Sean in here. I think to get there, in Casey, we're just putting the worst options on there today.
The worst?
Yeah, Sonic will have like 3 spots on there.
No.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
it will.
no.
Yeah, it
Well,
will.
luckily, I won't be taking part. in that.
Yeah, you will.
No.
That's the best part of the wheel is that you have to. That's the best part about the wheel.
No. In fact, is there anybody that has a huge discrepancy between? You want to have fun for just half a second? Now, of course, Natty Ron's going to be on our tail here in about 2 minutes. Once we do this little segment, he's going to tell us sports. But is there anybody in the history of television that has shown a commercial to where the difference between what they actually show on the television to what you actually get in the actual restaurant are 2 different things? Now, there's some candidates out there. Don't get me wrong, but Sonic, I think, takes the cake. Do you see the Sonic commercials with their food?
Yeah,
it
I do it all
actually
the time.
looks decent, looks appetizing. If you go to a Sonic and order that same thing, the chances of you actually getting something even remotely close to what you thought you were going to get is completely blasphemous. I realized that Sonic were frauds the very first time I went to a Sonic after COVID. And I realized that they decided they weren't going to do the roller skate thing anymore. They've lost their touch with what they were, right? At
Did that happen at Corona? Did they stop the roller skates at Corona?
Yeah, because COVID and roller skates, you just can't put roller skates on anymore.
Everybody knows that.
Yeah, that's the thing. Some restaurants you still can't go inside because, COVID. Some call it laziness.
West Side Gold Star.
Has there ever been, outside of the dog ate my homework, a bigger excuse that this country has used than COVID? Those are the tough questions
Back to
we
sports.
ask on Off
Back
the
to
Bench.
sports.
Those are the tough
Back to
questions we ask
sports.
on Off the
It's
Bench.
time for Draft or Die, Casey.
Draft or die?
Or die.
Did you listen to the song last time?
Draft or die.
I don't think. Can you listen to this? Put on your earphones.
Yeah, sure. Run the clip. Draft or die.
Well, I just want
draft or
your
die.
earphones
Let's do
are.
it.
Hold on, Casey. Wait till he puts his earphones on. I want him to hear it.
Okay.
Put on your earphones.
All right. Put earphones going on. I'm
All right,
ready.
you ready for this?
I'm
I think you're going to love this masterpiece.
born ready.
Draft. Die. Draft. Die. Draft. Die. Draft. Die. Draft. Or die.
That's actually all right.
Yeah.
That's actually all right.
Yeah.
We can. I can work with that. I can work with that. The next thing that we need to do on Draft or Die, as many of you know, is the 100-yard dash. So I'm going to buy some time for Casey to get that set up.
And I would like for the Draft or Die, so I'd like you to pay a little bit more attention this time.
Really?
Because the last time it just
You're
seems
right.
like you just ask over and over again, hey, everybody, what you pick?
That was on me. That was on me.
What you pick? I think the last time we did this, Sean had to exit the room midway through.
And
so I'd like us to finish the
I
segment.
hated how he did that, and he ended up settling on the Cowboys. Too. Like, I guess I'll take the Cowboys over the Patriots. And they won 38-3.
You can't rush perfection. You can't rush perfection. All right, everybody, you can't rush perfection. I have what I think is an awesome cherry on top today, by the way. For those that don't know, big revivalist guy, their lead singer is from Hamilton, which is probably the real reason as to why I know about them. But yesterday, my wife was scrolling through social media, and she's like, hey, check this out. Did you see? She only seen it because she follows the revivalists, but they did a montage with Major League Baseball with one of their songs. And I don't know how that partnership came about, but I thought it was awesome. Two things that I adore. The Revivalists and Major League Baseball. So you'll get to see that. It'll get you fired up a little bit. Now, I'll get you all fired up to watch some baseball when there's no baseball to watch, but we'll end the show on that. Hopefully if I bought enough time.
Was it Wish I Knew You?
It's not.
No.
It's one of their new songs, actually. It's one of their new songs. And it looks like are we ready, Casey, for the 100-yard dash to figure out who gets to pick first in Draft or Die? By the way, if you do not know how this goes, it's quite simply this. If you pick two games in the NFL, just straight money line, straight up, no spread. If you get one of them wrong, you have to stand in front of the camera here, and you have to read off of what is our Suedo teleprompter. And if you laugh, you have to start over again. There's only been one person that has failed to meet the standards of this, and that would be Reed Mouse, and he had to do Draft or Die last week. This week, nobody died. Nobody lost. So here we are. We do a 100-yard dash to figure out what the snake draft looks like, and we're ready. And they are off.
Here we go.
A full 100-yard dash in 3, 2, 1, and they're off.
Elliot's at the bottom. Trace and Sean are in the middle. I'm up top.
Here we go.
Trace looks like he's got the early lead.
Love that.
Oh,
Elliot, I mean, what are we doing?
oh.
Be better.
Sean and Trace, they're neck and neck right now at the
Look at
50.
Who's going to freeze?
Sean.
It might be Trace.
Sean.
Oh, Sean's pulling ahead. Oh, no, Trace is pulling ahead now. Oh, no, it's going to be close. Trace pulls ahead.
Here I come.
Trace is in first, and Trace is the number 1 pick. Sean will get the number 2 pick, and Elliot didn't.
No.
I mean,
There.
this is
Oh,
terrible.
man, I start slowing down
this
a
is
lot.
absolutely terrible. This is so
my feet are in the
unrealistic.
mud.
Everybody knows I'm a short burst guy. Everybody knows that.
Oh, no.
And there's nobody faster for the first 5 yards than me. Everybody knows that about me. Last 95 yards, I'll probably be the slowest, but we'll see.
Trace, you're first. Sean, you're second. Elliot's third. I'm fourth.
All right, well, with my first pick, as I scroll through here to make sure I don't miss anything. Boy, there's some.
It's going to be a tough one this week.
Yeah.
A lot of good games this week.
There's 2 double-digit spreads.
There is, but I they might be traps. They might be traps.
Oh, no.
But, I mean, you don't have another choice. You got to take one of those. I think I'm going to take the I hate this because I think the Lions can get beat. And I think the Dolphins could get beat. I'm going to take the Lions. I'm going to take the Lions.
What a terrible pick.
Man.
Who's next?
Sean?
Wait a second. Are you telling me that the Jaguars are still over in Europe?
Yeah. They've been over in Europe for 2 weeks now.
Wow.
Back-to-back Europe. Pick them. Ride with them.
They made them stay over in Europe for 2 weeks. They're Europe's team.
Ian Jabot.
I really don't like the Dolphins, but the Giants are bad, so I'm going to go with the Dolphins.
How do we not like the Dolphins? How do we not like it?
I think they look good at times, and then they look really bad at times, too. I don't know, man.
I guess. I'll take the Chiefs, and then my wraparound pick, I will take.
Oh, what are you doing?
Oh, Oh, sorry. You're full.
Get it together, man.
Get it together over there.
Clean
Pay
it up
attention,
over there.
Elliot.
Hey, I'd like you to
Jeez.
pay attention this time around. Would you at least pay attention this time around?
It's fair.
What Casey pick?
That was a fair callback on our boss Trace.
Casey gets 2.
He does.
All right. I'm in a really tough spot. I won't lie. I got 2 picks. No one's picked San Francisco yet, right?
Ooh, that's a bad pick.
And no one's picked Buffalo. I'm going to pick Buffalo. And I'm going to pick. Oh, man. I'm going to pick Philadelphia? Yeah. Eagles and Buffalo.
Okay.
2 good teams.
I will take, for the very first time this season, and it happens tonight, the Chicago Bears will be victorious. All the haters will have to be quiet. Justin Fields will be winning the game. 400 passing yards, 200 rushing yards, 15 combined touchdowns for him, rushing and passing. It'll be a record day for my guy Justin Fields. Bears win in a slaughter, 7,000-3.
So it's back to me, huh?
Yep.
Bears and Chiefs, by the way, my picks.
Are you going to take your Cowboys?
I'm going to need the Dolphins to win for me, is what I'm going to need. 'Cause
I mean, I think
I tell you what, I'm
Baltimore-
going to take the Bengals. How about that?
Yeah!
I'm going to take the Bengals.
Yeah!
They're gonna get it done.
I think Baltimore is also a sneaky pick here too. But
I was going to pick him, but divisional game, I took it off.
Trace, you're up next.
With the final pick,
It's only going to get tougher when we have a full 5.
Brutal is what I would say to this. Bengals are a lock. I wish I would have taken them. That would have been. I'd have loved that.
Go with the Broncos.
Nope. No, I'm not falling for the Broncos.
Favored.
Not falling for the Broncos. I'm gonna tell you right now that everyone's they're gonna make fun of me and laugh. I believe in the system. I live by the system. I'll die by the system. I'm gonna take the Cowboys. Don't even need the points. So there you go.
all right, let's draft
So,
or die. Will
there
you
you go.
draft or will you die? I don't know.
know.
We'll find
I'm
out.
trying to. I sent Casey the cherry on top for later, but unfortunately it was on Instagram, no free ads. So I don't know if he's going to be able to pull it up on his computer. So I'm looking for it on the old socials. But hey, that's here nor there. We'll figure it out. We'll try to find a way. Got plenty of time to.
Did they not post it
figure
on
out.
Twitter?
I don't know.
I'll look on Twitter. You fill some time. I'll look on
That's
Twitter.
what I was digging up. But fill some time. Fill some time. It's my time to fill some time.
What did you send me? I don't
All
see
right,
it.
here's what I want to do. I know we're jumping all over the place in a little bit of a way here, but we never did get our World Series picks before we got going here, and I'm sure that we could ask. We'll get Tom's here before the weekend's out. I am going to take. I have to take the Braves. I as much as I don't want to be the front runner person, I just don't see how they lose. I don't see how they lose. Now, obviously, in a 5-game set, I could see how they lose because they get down early to Philly, and Philly has the ability to knock them off. But, man, a 7-game series against that lineup, and it's not like they have decent arms. It's not like that's a huge concern either for the Braves. Are the Orioles a team that's really going to be able to go from missing the postseason to the very next season, having the guts, the gall to be able to win the World Series? I don't think so. So I'm going to go with the Braves, as boring as that is. Elliot, you got somebody to throw really quickly here?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Phillies. I think the Phillies are damn good. I'm liking what I'm seeing from the crowd. Home field advantage matters. I know they're not going to have it come towards the end, but if we get to the World Series, I don't know. I like our chances. I like the Phillies' chances if they can beat Atlanta. So, Philadelphia, you are a World Series champion.
I have a stupid question. Who was in the World Series last year, the two teams? It was Houston and...
Yep. Philadelphia.
Yep.
Okay. I'm gonna go with the Dodgers.
Ooh, that's a fun one. That's a fair
I'm
one.
gonna go with the Dodgers.
Dodgers are sneaky too because
They are. I mean, that's like one of the few teams that are like, you know what?
They went 100 games.
Yeah, they won 100 games.
All right, Houston's going to repeat. They're going back.
Dusty.
They got Verlander
Dusty.
back. Houston's going to get it done. Dusty's going back to back. And I actually think they're going to beat, as crazy as this might sound, the Diamondbacks.
Really?
They're going to shock the world and get to the World Series.
Diamondbacks have looked damn good. Diamondbacks have looked pretty damn good.
They're a young, frisky team. They got a good 1-2 punch with the starting pitching rotation, which is big in the postseason. I think they get it done.
I wanted to call them fraudulent pretty much the entire season, but the offense is very good. They have a very stacked lineup, and I think their pitch. Zach Gallen's a beast. So, Merrill Kelly and Zach Gallen, they're not losing games. I think that's a good pick.
Are we going in the vault anytime soon?
Yeah,
or-
we're gonna have to.
So we're gonna have to.
One thing about the Diamondbacks this year, and when you look at their record and why it's 84-78, if you look at their 3 through 5 starters, it's bad. I think all 3 of them have over a 5 ERA. So they just weren't a complete team. But when you get to the postseason, if you got a good 1 and 2, you got a shot.
That is the MLB is wild because, like Trey said, you only get those 3 games in the wild card. So if you just have your best 2 pitchers, I mean, for those 3, you can win any series against any team. You really can. The Reds, I know, got they didn't get boat raced, but they didn't score a run in 2020 when we had Trevor Bauer and Castillo dominating those first 2 games. But if you're like, and that's why I thought the Brewers were kind of fraudulent. We haven't gone on a Brewers victory lap yet, but I was right about the Brewers. They were never going to ever compete for a World Series. They're just not good enough offensively. And in the playoffs, I do think offense means a little bit more than pitching because you have to score runs to win these games. So if pitching can literally only get you so far. It can get you 9 innings, but after that you have to do something. So Brewers didn't have the offense. I don't know what they're going to do this offseason. If I had to guess, this would be the end of the Brewers' reign on the NL Central. That you've seen the last of the good Brewers. They're talking about moving them out of town too. That would be hilarious. Losing the playoffs and then ship them over to France, whatever they want to do with them. So Brewers, bye-bye. Your season's over. Cardinals will be bad next year as well. Cubs, the Cubs. I hear Cubs are pushing for Pete Alonso. So if the Cubs are able to get Pete Alonso, I'd be scared. If they can bring back Belly and get Pete Alonso, I'd be frightened. Pirates are known. Breed likes to say, "Don't watch out for the Pirates. Watch out for the Pittsburgh Pirates." Nobody's ever watched out for the Pittsburgh Pirates. I mean, it's a disgraceful organization. The Reds, the Reds are going to be better than the Pittsburgh Pirates, Milwaukee Brewers, St. Louis Cardinals, guaranteed next year. And I do think they'll be better than the Cubs. Reed hasn't been in here since their brutal collapse and missing the playoffs, has he?
He is in the building. So I don't know.
Why is he not in this? Why is he not in this? Is he in here?
I seen him earlier.
They got kicked off the show from the chat. That's what he said, and that's fine. He said he got kicked off the show from the chat, and you know what? Some are saying he's a man of his word, and some are saying that others aren't in this room.
I wish.
That's what the chat is alluding to.
I wish Reed was in this room right now to answer for some of his takes about the Chicago Cubs.
He'll be in here. He'll be in here next week.
I want him in here now. I think he's outside.
And so will Tom.
If he's outside, if Reed has any gumption, he walks in the studio right now.
I don't. Some are saying that's not going to happen.
Casey, let's go in the vault.
He's a man of his word. Casey, Elliot wants to go in the vault, so let's go in the vault and listen to a red hot zebra. Nobody's ever been hotter gambling on sports. And right after this clip, I have a very special announcement to make. We have 100 plus folks in here, 108 plus people watching this right now. We're going to start this social media train right now, right after we go in the vault.
Ooh.
Presented by Betfred Sportsbook.
Ooh.
All right, so I get a text message late last night from the good folks at Betfred.
The best folks.
And they are saying, "Hey, it's go time." I'm like, "It's go time. Where am I going? What do I got to do?" Jumped out of bed. Looked at my phone. It says, we need Chatterbox's community to step up. Our leadership team wants to see what kind of presence they have in Ohio. Sounds like a test to me. So I don't know if Casey can do a lower third on the screen here on the fly or not, but let's just give it a shot. I want to spam them. And by spam them, I mean like I want all of these text messages to hit them at once, like a big ton of bricks. You know what I'm saying? Like let's just break their servers. It says,
am I allowed to participate too?
I believe so. It says, so our new leadership team has given me a promo code for you guys to push to see how big your presence in Ohio really is. Send this thing to every person who's ever heard of Chatterbox. Tell your audience to text. You ready for it? Here's the call. Here's the call to action. Text Chatter, Chatter. Text Chatter, Chatter, to 702-305-4443.
Oh my God!
Listen to me. 702-305-4453. I'll read that one more time because I butchered it the first time. 702-305-4453. And they'll get a risk-free bet back on any loss for their next bet up to $25. Here's the thing. I don't even know if I'm supposed to say this. Listen, if you're a gambler, not a gambler, if you have a gambling problem, as always, call 1-800-GAMBLER. You know,
is Chatter all caps?
21 plus. It says caps. It does have all caps. Caps, Chatter, all caps. I don't know if that matters or not. Seems like it might matter. Maybe not. I have no idea. But here's the thing. You know what? Just send the text message in. Send the text message in. Maybe you'll get a wild hair on a Saturday. You want to make a bet? Then you have it. You have it there. If not, so be it. At least they know. Text Chatter to 702-305-4453. Mark Fetters wants to know, how do you spell chatter? Chatter. That's it. That's it. So as we spam that link there, let's go in the vault because we have the hottest gambler known to mankind. I mean to tell you, you cannot find anybody hotter than this man. He will take you to the promised land. In fact, I'd be willing to bet right now.
Let's go. Fire me up. Come on.
If you would have taken the bets that Elliott Rearing has been giving out, and by taking them, I mean taking the opposite.
Pump me. Oh, well, come on.
And you just laddered it. You know, you just, every time you doubled up the last bet. There is a good chance, there is a very, very good chance that you could probably have paid your house off by now. Now, of course, we want you to gamble responsibly. That is very, very important. But nobody else in the world, nowhere else in the world, nobody else in the country can be as consistent as Elliott. So,
pump me up, boss. Fire me up.
Without farther
Fire
ado,
me up.
Let's get to the winners.
Woo!
And by winners, I mean losers.
Come on.
But they're winners for us.
Woo!
Take it away, Mr. Zebra Man.
Thank you for pumping me up. That was a great speech. Listen, he's right. If you ride with me, you are going to win so much money you won't even be able to see it. That's how much money you'll have. You just won't be able to see how much money you've made. If you took my bets last night, my parlay of parlaying all the first inning under half a run, you wouldn't have been able to see the winnings last night. But listen, gambling is about the long game. This isn't about the short time thing. You're playing for the long game. It's a 365-day war every single year. Now, I've lost the last 4 years, but that's the thing. I have infinite years left. Infinite. Probably about 40. So if I can keep this up, who knows where we'll be? We might just be the next millionaire. So on Saturday, I'm going to give you a couple picks here. On Saturday, you are going to parlay all the first inning unders. Half a run. That's a nerfy in the business. That's what we call it in the business. If you're a professional like us in the business, that's what we call it. A nerfy in the Rangers-Orioles game, in the Twins-Astros game, in the Phillies-Braves game, and in the Diamondbacks-Dodgers game. A nerfy. That's a no-run first inning. Parlay them all four. It's a guaranteed mortal lock of the century. Asterisk, I can't guarantee anything. Legally, I have to say that. I want to make that very clear. I can't legally promise you anything. and statistically it hasn't won yet. So there's that. The Orioles are minus 141 money line on Betfred Sportsbook, the greatest sportsbook known to man. I'd actually take the Rangers plus 120. The Rangers look like one of the hottest teams of baseball. There's a lot of good things about having a bye in the first round. One of those things that's not good is not having the momentum that you accumulated from the past round. I think the Rangers have a lot of momentum. Plus 120 on Betfred Sportsbook. Perhaps the greatest sportsbook known to man. Tonight, Chicago Bears plus 6. It's the easiest bet I've ever made in my entire life. It's the easiest free winner bet. Asterisk, I can't say it's free or a winner. But and legally, I have to tell you that. But for me personally, in my mind, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it's free. I'm thinking it's a winner. Bears plus 6. It's easy. Just take it. Plus 225. Also take it. Bears money line. Bears aren't losing this football match. Bears are not losing this football match. We're not going home without a win. I watched Blues Brothers last night. Blues Brothers is a great movie. It takes place in what city? Chicago. It was an omen. It was a sign that I'm taking the Chicago Bears tonight. The over-under is 44.5. Hammer the under. Final score of this game will be probably 3-0 Bears. But listen, you take it, you ride with me. Let's all be billionaires. Let's be a billionaire. Let's just do it. And text that number. Again, I need everybody to do it. Everybody who's watching right now, text that number. Text chatter, CHATTER, right now. Risk-free bet, which means you get to take any of my bets without any risk, which is, the best of all time because mine don't win a lot. So that's what you'll do. Do it right now. Those are my mortal lock plays of the century. Again, asterisk, I can't say any of those words that I used legally. So whatever verbiage you want to come up with, that's what I'm saying to you to take my bets.
We also have a Betfred situation where they had made a post today on Twitter. We'll probably quote tweet that here a short time after the show if we haven't already. And it is simple. You can like, retweet, and follow the Betfred account. And if you comment the closest guess to the passing yards tonight without going over. So we're playing Price is Right rules, it appears. Little Price is Right rules. The amount of passing yards tonight without going over, whoever gets the closest to that wins a $500 free bet, Fred bet.
I pinned the tweet in the comments if you want to do it.
So there you go. Simple as that. You go on there, you guess the amount of passing yards. We're going to go in the vault now, and we're all going to take a guess. We'll see who the closest is. The closest one, actually, we'll do it the opposite. That seems to be more fun.
That's right.
We're going to do it the opposite.
The
farthest one
gets fired. And that's what we do, right?
We're not going to get fired, but what we are going to do is I'm looking around the room. I'm trying to figure out how many push-ups we have to do right here. We got to do right in front of everybody.
Oh, shit.
I think.
Holy shit. Oh, yeah, baby. All right. Hold on. Let me use my brain here. Somebody fill some time. I got to think. Casey, Casey, give out a number.
The farthest one away has to do 15 push-ups.
Oh,
You know what I think that should be, Trace?
15 push-ups. And here's the thing: you don't have to do them. You don't have to do them all at the same time. If you can't get the 15, they got to be legit push-ups. We're not doing the knee push-up thing. They're legit push-ups.
Yeah, we'll see.
Here's the thing. No. Here's the thing. You can lay down and just lay on the ground and rest until you're ready for the next one. But we're gonna sit here and see it all the way through. So if it's a 10-minute segment tomorrow because Elliot can't do 15 push-ups in 10 minutes.
Wait a minute.
No,
wait a minute.
hold on,
There's
no,
a
no.
lot of people in this room that I don't think can do 15 push-ups. It's not just Elliot. I'd love to see Casey get down on the ground right here and give me a quick 15er. I don't think anybody could. Trace, if you look at Trace, you're like, oh, that's a skinny little guy there. Maybe he can do it. I don't think he can do it either. So I don't think it's just Elliot over here. I think we get the whole room. I think Reed could do it. Reed's built well. Shout out Reed. He's got a good body.
Well, bonk. Do you like his pants too, Elliot?
No, well, I knew what
By
I was.
pants, I mean shorts?
I don't like
Like
your
medium
insinuations.
shirts?
I knew what I was saying when I said that, and it was just as funny as when I thought it. So shout out to me. I'm just a funny guy. That's all I can say.
All right, so now's the time where we have to actually pick.
What game are we doing?
We'll go around the room for we'll go around the room from left to right, starting with Elliot. You get the first crack at this. The amount of yards tonight without going over is
Hold on. Is this all purpose or is this passing?
Passing yards. Come on, listen. Lock it in.
No. Don't go to me first. No, I don't want to go Elliot, I'm sure he's ready. He can fill some time. No, go to Sean and Casey first. I want to think about my pick.
Nope, that's not how it works. You get to go first.
All right.
I
Okay.
think we need to put the horses back up there. Going last is a huge advantage.
It's no. Yeah. Casey, bring out the sprint. I'm not going first. We're gonna bring.
No, let's go to the wheel. Let's go to the
Go
wheel.
to the wheel.
Go to the wheel.
I'm not doing this.
All right, and also
Let's get
Now
through
listen,
our picks for the night, and then we'll come back to this.
And that's fine. And also that buys us a little bit of
That's how we
time.
end
This
the
is
show.
why when you stay to the very end of the show, you deserve something. This is what you get. The closest one in the chat right now. Now, please also play it on socials because obviously Betfred wants to push this, and you know that they're trying to utilize us. They pay us money. They help us keep the lights on around here. We appreciate Betfred.
And they're great people.
And they're great people, as Elliot has pointed out a couple different times. I would like for you to do it on their socials as well. But we'll also play this game in our chat. If right now you want to take a guess, the closest one to the correct amount of passing yards tonight without going over will win a free shirt. How about that? Free t-shirt. Chatterbox Sports. T-shirt of your choice. And I also want to tell you, we are going to start working on some merch here relatively soon. When Thom comes back,
I need hoodies. When
Thom comes back, our goal is to do, some more work around here. There's some things behind the scenes that have been what's the right word to use? I'm at a loss for words. They've not been done to the level in which they need to be done because we're stretched thin here. If we're being honest, we're stretched a little thin. So we're gonna try to get some more merch in the store. We're gonna try to be ready on Black Friday to have a bunch of great merch, hoodies. I know many people want some golf shirts, maybe some hats. We'll figure it all out. All right.
I'll get in the design lab because there are.
I do have a couple picks for the night.
All right,
back into the vault.
Spur. We're still in the vault, baby. We never left it. Go ahead.
Back into the vault here. I'm going to go DJ Moore, first touchdown tonight. The Bears like to get off to fast starts in games. He's been hot. He's had a touchdown in each of the last 2 weeks. Plus 950, you can get that for him, Betfred Sportsbook. And I also like Justin Fields, 200-plus passing yards forecast. He's done that 3 games in a row. The Bears probably will be playing from behind, so he's probably going to be throwing the football. I like him to get over 200 yards tonight. That's actually even money, plus 100.
I got a couple picks. I got Cole Kmet, 35-plus receiving yards. That's plus 100. He's the number 2 target for the Bears. Like that a lot. Chase Young to get a sack. That's even money at plus 100. I like that a lot too. And then if you're in the parlay game, if you're into parlaying things on Betfred, player passing and rushing yards, Justin Fields, 225. Cole Kmet, 35 receiving yards. Sam Howell to throw 2 touchdowns. Sam Howell to throw for 250 yards. That's plus 550 on Betfred.
Okay. I'm not going to be able to get behind the fidget spinner. I know that Sean obviously is a believer that he's going to throw for 200 yards. I don't know if I can believe that. Yes, he's done it 3 straight games. All right, I get it. But we'll find out. 200 yards also. Yeah, I mean, that's nothing to shake your head about. It's nothing. That's nothing to scoff at, whatever term you'd like to use. All right, it's that time for the wheel because we need to pick our yardage, and it certainly seems as if whoever
does the first one go first. How are we doing this?
First one gets to pick where they pick. How about that?
The first one gets to pick last, and we'll go last to first.
And
last of okay, so okay.
Whoever's name gets drawn picks last.
All right, good.
And then vice
Second,
versa.
Good.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
It's a yellow wheel.
It's a big old yellow wheel. The last pick is it's Trace.
of course, it's Trace.
Hate to see that.
Rick.
All right, here we go. This is a big one, though. This is a big one.
I need third.
This is a big one.
I need third pick.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's looking like it's a Casey.
Looking good, Elliot.
Baby. Here we go.
It's not looking good for us.
Sean, let's do a pact, brother.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Is it me? Is it you?
It's going to be Elliot.
It's Elliot.
Oh, God.
good luck. Good luck, pal. Good luck, buddy.
Can we make a rule here, though? Like, I can't just pick one and you guys just one-up me all the way up.
Oh, yes, I can. I can do whatever the hell I want.
I mean,
I can do whatever the hell I want.
I mean, we're
We're gonna have 4 numbers.
All right, I'll tell you what we should have done. And we just don't have enough big brains in here to think about it until after the fact. And I just thought about it. You ready?
Right. Yeah, I'm ready.
This is how we'll do it. This is the most fair and equitable way to do it, in my opinion.
Write it down.
Put it on your phone or write it down real fast, and then we will all say it out loud at the same time.
And the goal of this is to
The passing yards tonight without going over. That's the real way we should have done this from the
without
start.
going over.
Yeah, it's Price is Right rules. You can't go over.
Oh wow.
Right? That's the
Yeah,
rules.
that's what it says. That's what it says.
You can't go over.
Oh wow. I mean, we're just adding these rules on left and right, and there's just so many.
That's what the Betfred Sportsbook said.
what
You
the
can't
Betfred-
go over.
Yeah,
You can't go over.
Can't
This
go
is
over.
the bet. This has come from the best sports book known to mankind. That's the rules. Follow them. All right, you got 15 seconds. Come up with something. Also, do we still have the live chat replay feature?
Yeah.
Yes. All right, so we'll be able to go back and find that as well. All right, I got my number.
I got mine.
You let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Is everybody ready?
I'm ready.
Elliot, I need your help here. Are you ready?
He's
Are you ready, Elliot?
struggling with it over there.
Okay, here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
469.
Okay, I had 420.
439.
448.
469.
Love that. All right.
We're
Here
all
we
the
go.
fours. That's
We're all right there. We'll
Says-
find out.
Okay, wait. I should probably write this down. What is it? I had 469. Trace.
420.
Casey.
I had 439. I feel really good about that pick now. Me and Spur in a really good spot.
Sean?
'cause-
I had 448.
Okay.
Yeah, we're fine. We're not gonna like if it's too far, if it's past 460 or whatever. If Elliott wins, we're safe, and if it's below 420, we're safe.
Yeah. That it is.
So either Elliott or Trace are in trouble.
Yeah, basically.
I don't like this.
I guess I didn't think of it that way.
Do you have a cherry on top?
Good job, Casey.
Yeah, let's go.
I don't know if Casey's able to find the cherry on top. I feel like what I had sent it's in your Twitter DMs, but the problem is, like I said before, it's on another social channel. Why they wouldn't put that on X.com, I don't know. It goes to show you that there's just some. I find myself in that category. I'm sure many of you do too. It's like you kind of have your social medias that you're all in on, right? You don't really find too many folks that are very active in all of them because it seems to be impossible. I find myself on X obviously much more than I find myself on the other ones, but I know many people that do Instagram exclusively. I just don't know a whole lot about Instagram, if we're being completely honest. I have no idea about Instagram at all. Not downplaying it. I'm sure it's a great app, but it doesn't provide news the same way that X does. So that's why I guess I'm on X. Casey, is there any chance in the world that you're able to even get to that?
Yes, just give me a second. I gotta find the right display.
Okay. So we
And-
might have it.
Yeah,
We might actually have it.
Hey.
as long as
United Dairy Farmers. Cherry on top. Shout out to United Dairy Farmers, by the way. You want to buy some time real fast for Casey? I got an idea. I got an idea.
I was going to talk a little bit too.
Okay, you can. But my favorite flavor at United Dairy Farmers ice cream. By the way, Homemade is their premium brand, if you didn't know that. And they have a black raspberry chip that's elite. It is very, very good. I know there's another company in the town that, they do the black raspberry chip too, and many people might say, just give it a shot. And also Blue Moo cookie dough.
Chocolate chip cookie dough is my favorite.
Nice.
I'm gonna hit the thing.
All right, the United Dairy Farmers cherry on top. This has some big time calls. From our team. I thought it was just a good recap of Major League Baseball in the season and some good tunes. Some good tunes from the Revivalists.
Oh, there's no. The way I did it, there's no audio.
Oh no!
I didn't realize that it was gonna be.
It's a real Casey.
Well, that's.
Oh no! What does that mean?
It's a real.
There's no audio.
It's just a video that you have to. It was on a story, so then you have to go to the video and.
So
I mean,
so
again,
so
there's
it's
still-
possible. Let's just
Whose story was that on? Was that on the MLB story?
MLB Network maybe.
I mean,
How does that not have audio on it? Some are asking. Does it not have a? Does it
no,
not have
that,
a?
it's a vMix feature. If you do a desktop capture, it's not gonna.
Oh, so you can't
Capture the audio.
Gotcha. You can't even like take that individual link inside of vMix.
No, I can't.
So we lost.
I lost today.
Well, we'll get it for tomorrow. How about
Yeah, tomorrow. United Dairy Farmers Cherry on Top will come tomorrow with actual audio. I know how we can do it. We'll just pirate it because you can do that as well.
Arrgh, matey.
Pirate it. All right. Well, that'll do it. I'm going to take this headset off because I don't need it anymore. But we'll be back here better than ever tomorrow. Why? Because we do this show every single day, Monday through Friday, from 10
Hey.
to 12
P.
Ten to 12p.
Which means we'll be back here better than ever tomorrow. I don't know why you'd come back, but if you do, we really would appreciate it. Also, don't forget to text that number because ultimately we'd like to keep the lights on around here. And
Let's
I
put it
guess
up one
the
more
only way
time.
to the only way for us to keep the lights on around here is to make them think that we actually have people that watch these things.
Yeah, if you want us to continue, you're gonna text that number.
Yeah,
Or else
actually,
we're-
put the camera on me for a sec. You know, I like to do a couple things in my life. One of them being to have water to drink and have a roof over my head. I
Your dog
drive
Juno?
I have a dog named Juno I need to feed. If you would like to support me in this way, this would be great. It would help me keep my job and thus help me live my life. And if you would like me to keep living, this would be a big step. This is a big first step. So if this is just a PSA to everybody, save the Elliott. Save the Elliott and text chatter to 702-305-4453. And you can make an Elliott's day.
All right. That's going to be the end of this show. And like I said, we'll be back tomorrow. Better than ever.
From what
Have
time?
a lovely.
From what time?
Have a lovely. We're not doing that again. Have a lovely
10
Thursday. And watch out for those 4 p.m. showers that Elliot told you about. We'll see you tomorrow,
Sunny with
everybody.
a chance of torrential rain.
See you tomorrow.